Hey everybody, I'm coming to you with our first long distance learning video from my home. Hope you're all doing well. I can't wait to see you guys in person. Today we are going to review what we learned about World War I prior to spring break. So please grab a piece of paper and a writing utensil in case you need to take some notes. And there will be one Minnesota fun fact that you will need to record for your attendance question at the end of this. And you're going to want to write that down so you don't forget. So here we go. So we're going to start off with 3 of the causes that led to World War I that we discussed prior to break. If you recall, before break, we talked about how countries in Europe were forming alliances or partnerships with one another. The alliances were great, yet they could also cause some problems. For example, they could be good because countries could depend on one another to have each other's back. Yet, the problems started when small issues arose between 2 countries, and then the other countries felt the need to intervene and get involved. Another issue that was happening during this time was called imperialism. This is when countries in Europe were vying for more power and land. It caused some countries to feel the need to push others around. For example, Germany felt that it deserved more colonies because it had less than Britain, France, and Italy. So it caused a little bit of a power struggle within Europe. But the real spark to the First World War happened when Archduke Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was assassinated by a Syrian national. This pushed alliances together and showed which countries had specific support. This picture on the right is actually Archduke Ferdinand and his wife, Sophie, prior to the assassination. So when Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated, Austria declared war on Serbia. This caused Russia to support Serbia. Russia was often considered Serbia's mother country. Germany, sided with Austria-Hungary and declared war on Russia. France felt that it needed to support Russia. Great Britain felt that it needed to support France. So you can see how all of these different countries started to support each other and have each other's back. By August 5th of 1914, Europe was engulfed in the First World War. Remember, America does not join the war until later. Hence, the 2 sides of World War I were formed. You've got the Central Powers, which included Germany, Austria, Hungary, the Ottoman Empire. If you remember looking at that map in class when we were doing the mapping activity, Ottoman Empire was quite large. It included countries like today, modern-day Turkey and Bulgaria. The Allies included Russia, France, Great Britain, Italy, and America in 1917 when they joined the war. And again, when we did the mapping activity in class, there were other countries that were part of the Allies and the Central Powers. I'm just throwing these ones on the screen because these were the big players within the war. So the next few slides that you're going to see detail America's entrance into the war. In 1914, America was in isolation. Since we live so far away from Europe, many Americans did not want to become involved in Europe's war. Many Americans were happy living in isolation away from the conflict and wanted to remain neutral from it all. Neutrality was a state of not supporting or helping either side in a conflict or disagreement. For example, today, Switzerland is a country that likes to maintain neutrality, does not want to become involved in conflicts happening within Europe. Another thing is it was hard for Americans to choose which side they supported. Many German Americans lived in America and Minnesota, and there was also a lot of Irish Americans living here who were not fond of the British. Yet, Americans also had close ties to the Allies and had economic ties to the Allies as well. We did have exports to both the Central Powers and the Allies. So it was hard for the people within America to choose which side they supported. However, as time went on, Germany did a few things that pushed American public opinion against the Central Powers and Germany and more open to joining the war on the Allies side. Germany began sinking ships without warning. They also torpedoed a passenger ship called the Lusitania that was carrying American civilians. In March of 1917, Britain intercepted a telegram from Germany to Mexico that stated that the two countries should form an alliance or partnership. Germany urged Mexico to attack the United States, and in return, they would receive American land once the war was over. The sinking of the ships and this telegram finally pushed America into entering the war. So, on April 6th of 1917, America entered the war. One last piece of information that we spoke about prior to spring break was propaganda. Remember, America used a lot of propaganda during World War I. Propaganda was used to persuade the American people into believing in the war effort and spark patriotism within the United States. Now I'm going to tell you your fun fact for your attendance. It has nothing to do with World War I, but you need to make sure that you write this down, and when you go into Google Classroom, there'll be a question about this. Minnesota has more golfers per capita than any other city in the United States. You need to know that, so when you go into Google Classroom, I can see that you actually watched this video. Again, Minnesota has more golfers per capita than any other city. Now, also when you go into Google Classroom, there will be a question about these slides. I'm going to ask you an opinion question about whether or not you think America should have joined the war or not. Do you think we should have stayed isolated? Or do you think it was a good idea for us to join World War I? I would like you to answer this in complete sentences and give reasons behind your thoughts. I miss you guys. I hope you're doing well. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again. And take care. Bye.